How would you go about making a game for the blind? Well, in 1997, legendary game designer Kenji answered that question with a game called Real Sound Kaze no Regret. He developed this game for Sega under the condition that Sega also send 1,000 Saturns to 1,000 blind people in the country. He would go on to do a number of firsts in the industry, such as using a very cinematic style, including freebies within the packagings of various games. Like in Real Sound, it would come with a bag of very pungent herbs. Kenji was a notorious rebel in the industry, as with the Sony incident in 1996, where he went up on stage at a Sony press conference, flashed the Sony logo, and then transformed it into the Sega one, pulled out Sega's mascot plush, threw it on the ground, started jumping on it, played video where his band was singing, "This game is a good game, our company is a great company." And that's how he closed it and burned bridges with Sony. So where did this over-the-top designer get his start? Well, in May 5th, 1970, he was born in Tokyo, Japan. Raised in a gifted school, at an early age, though, his mother disappears mysteriously. No one really knows what happens, but it deeply affects him. A year later, he gets a computer from his father, and that is where he turns to music and games. And with that computer in his early teens, allegedly develops this game called the Towadoko Murder Case, and goes into competition and wins a regional prize. We're not entirely sure if this is true or not. But at 17, he drops out of high school and goes into working for Canon, actually. But a few years later, he gets his first real job at Interlink. And funnily enough, he applies as a programmer, gets hired as a programmer, gets the job, and whenever they find out he can't program because it's been since the last time he did, he somehow convinces them. He's like, wait, do not fire me. I can still plan things, I can still write things, I can compose. And miraculously, he's kept on the team and works on an Ultraman game. But very unsatisfied with the lack of direction and control he has over his projects, he actually goes on to found a company named EIM. Allows him to choose the projects, at least, that he's going to make and work on during his time there. But still, he leaves that company as well due to lack of interest in games anymore. But in 1994, interest in games gets revitalized. He founds the company Warp, where he makes his most infamous series, the D series, the one that I am most familiar with, the one that most people are most familiar with whenever they think of Kenji Ino. And the D series was a very interesting, very weird, very just different at the time series, where it featured digital actress Laura and a survival horror series of games, all vastly different, don't get me wrong. The first one includes Dracula, and the last one, you're on a spaceship fighting invisible enemies. It is a very varied series. And at Warp, he actually hires to do these animations because they were very high-level 3D animations at the time. Hires Fumito Ueda, who would be later known for making games like Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. But during this time, there was a lot of production issues. He'd be known for going with a clean copy of D to his publisher and handing it to them, but after coming back, he added scenes that were originally cut for censorship issues back into the game and shipped that anyway. It created a very rocky relationship with Sega. This rocky relationship would continue as he developed the series further, and with Enemy Zero, obviously, the Sony event happens in this period of time, where he completely burns bridges with Sony as well. And due to all of that, Sony not producing enough units for him, censoring him, arguments with Sega, his declining mental health, he actually leaves games for a very long time and works on a bunch of random things, from designing restaurants to designing hotels to doing cigarette marketing, vending machine programming. He does a whole lot of weird stuff for a very long time. He does return to games in the mobile game sphere way later in 2008 with writing music in a game called Nutonica, which actually was #1 in the Japanese market for a while. Designs and develops 2 more games, One Dot Enemies and You, Me, and the Cubes. But sadly, in 2013, he was found passed away in his home, most likely to hypertension or high blood pressure. Have you ever played any of his games? How have they impacted you? And as always, thanks for watching.